Ladies and gentlemen, we know throughout history that plenty of things have been said, written down, released, and repeated that are confusing. Sometimes highly controversial, sometimes up for interpretation, sometimes misinterpreted throughout the years. Well, I was given a very unique request, a very unique suggestion. There's an artist named Sofia Isella. I have no idea who this is. She has about 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. Go check her out. Where is Sofia Isella from? She was born in Los Angeles, California, moved during her youth, living in Taiwan, Canada, Louisiana, and New Mexico. I love that. I have a feeling she has interesting worldviews just alone because of her traveling and her experience around the world. Assuming she moved to different regions and countries and settled eventually on the Gold Coast of Australia in 2020. She is an American singer, songwriter, musician, and producer, making alternative and dark pop music infused with art rock, gothic elements, sharp poetic lyricism. Oh yeah, I like this. Well, she has a song. The title of a song that I've never heard before. Numbers 31, 17 to 18. Isn't that an interesting song title? Well, it turns out that's obviously also a scripture. A Bible verse from the book of Numbers, from the Pentateuch in the Hebrew Bible. And it is a very interesting, pretty intense verse. It says something along the lines, therefore kill every male among the little ones and kill every woman who has known a man for sleeping with him. Various translations of that, of course. Obviously, there are various interpretations. It is one that has led to a lot of criticism, skepticism, a verse that may give us insight into extreme warfare and treatment of captives during the time. History, religion, all those things aside, let's try to go up into this with an open mind. What is Sophia saying here, and why would she name a song after such a controversial scripture? Are you guys ready for this? I don't even know if I am, to be honest. I ask you that, but maybe I should start asking myself that. Rosalie, are you ready for this? I don't know. Shout out today goes to Sean. Thank you for your support on my Buy Me a Coffee page, for being part of this community and making this suggestion. You guys ready for this? Let me rewind.
Kill all the boys and kill every woman who has had sex with a man. But save for yourselves the young girls who have not had sex with a man. Save for yourself. Save for yourselves the virgin. Take the virgin children for yourselves. You good boy, good boy, good boy.
The context is missing, long, long forgotten. Oh, the context is on the milk cartons, but they still fill the bottle for that silhouette of air. The paper comments suck on excuses and prayers. Context, there's context to the slaughter. There is love and good reason. God's quotations kill a daughter. There's a
Oh my gosh. What? Oh my gosh. I love this. It's dark from the start, even the way she reads and quotes this scripture. But I love I'm going to interpret that. I'm interpreting it as cynicism towards the fact that when you have such verses that in and of themselves sound absolutely horrific and disgusting. Kill little boys, basically. Kill any woman that has ever been intimate with a man, but keep the girls, the virgins, for yourself. For yourself. Disgusting. A disgusting verse. But a lot of times, and I have done this, and I do think there's validity to wanting to look at the context of something, but I do think that often that is used as an excuse. And I think I hear cynicism here. Basically saying, oh, the context, because that's usually the argument. You have a verse that is very concerning, and the response is, well, you got to read it in context. And like I said, I've said that before, because yes, there is a time and a place for context. We see how many things are misconstrued, defamation left and right, polarization and confusion when things are taken out of context. So I do think there's a time and a place for context. But I think, sadly, that idea has been so taken out of proportion, the context has been taken out of the context, that people are the religious circles using that as an excuse. And I hear cynicism here. Brutally honest sarcasm, cynicism. Oh my gosh, the honesty. Ooh. Ooh. The piano is beautiful here. That staccato adds build up.
Context is missing, long, long forgotten. Oh, the context is on the milk cartons, but they still fill the bottle for that silhouette of air. The paper comments suck on excuses and prayers.
There's so much to talk about here.
There's context to the slaughter. There is love and good reason. God's quotations kill a daughter.
That, I don't want to keep pausing, y'all. I do want to, because I want to be cautious with copyright claims. And you hopefully came for the breakdown. That minor scale descent that she is using as she's singing sounds very eerie, very melancholic, but also very fitting. It's this idea to me of decay, of moral debauchery, of dismay almost. But the way she's climbing down that ladder, that scale in those minor notes just adds to that very gloomorous, melancholic feel. To talk about it being painted on the milk cartons is interesting to me. Air, emptiness, like the thing that you feed a baby, fitting to slaughtering little children, male little ones, but also fitting to this idea of the things that were sold, that were fed. Also makes me think of the things that actually happened in church history, from what I recall, where things were sold as Mary's milk and other relics that people flocked to because they believed that that was truly one or the other thing that was now holy, sacred. And the church has used, various religions, you can see it across the board, has abused people's desperate desire to touch something sacred and holy, to be part of something special that they believe God knows what. Various ways we could take that, but the symbolism here, oh.
Love and good reason. God's quotations kill a daughter. There's a lump under the rug in religion's house. They will dance and defend anything to keep it from coming out.
Yeah.
There's a whore next door, she's your reward. Oh, what could you want that's more? Before death, I heard her say something. I'm biting into an apple and I'm afraid of nothing.
Ooh, her voice. Sean pointed out that she has that Billie Eilish feel, the airiness in her voice, whatnot, and I agree with that. I would almost say like she has that Billie Eilish feel, not to compare and say she's like, but as a reference point. But I would say it's almost darker, more somber. Very artistic.
And here they come with their bullets made of Jesus, the muscle of God that will surely defeat us. The bigger question that's presenting is, what kind of God are you defending? The love of a parent that, if you deny that, parent will send you straight down and watch your muscle fry. They will not stop singing and defending that song. Rather find the excuse for massacre than be wrong. Rather ignore the lyrics than stop singing along. There's a whore next door, she's your reward. Oh, what could you want that's more? Before death, I heard her say something. I'm biting into an apple and I'm afraid of nothing. Oh, God says you're such a good boy. Take a child for yourself to enjoy. 'Cause what God gives, God can take and give to you with God-given permission to break.
Wow, I am speechless. This composition is gorgeous. That staccato of the piano is absolutely beautiful. The layering and the harmonizing of her voice, the eeriness, the somber grief is increasing. The whole emotion is increasing. And we've gone from brutally honest cynicism and reflection to a rage of injustice and religious disgust that cannot be ignored. I love this. Without screaming and throwing a fit and crashing out or whatever it's called today, she is being brutally honest in a way that beckons your attention. It makes you have to listen. This is the kind of song where you're not just going to keep ignoring the lyrics as you sing along the way that she just said. But did you just hear what she says? Beautiful songwriting, absolutely poetic, that play on words, what God gives, God takes away. That's that saying. I think it might even be an actual scripture. I can't remember the verse. What God gives takes away. God can take away. Job 120. Yeah, blessed be the name of the Lord. That's right. Naked I came from my mother's womb. Naked I will depart. The Lord gave and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised. That's right. Job said that in the end. And, we've heard it quoted in religious circles. But here to take a play on that, on human suffering, and the saying, well, what God gives, God can take and give. God can take it. What God gives, he can take, and God can give. And God can give it to you. So God can take it. He gave it. He can take it. He can give it to you instead with God-given permission for you to break it, the thing that he gave you. Oh my gosh. I love this. Oh my gosh. At the point that I am in my life with the questions I'm asking and the frustrations I have about certain things, I appreciate the brutal honesty here. The sketching is brilliant too. I wonder who did that. I wonder who made this lyric video. Oh my gosh. That was eerie. That guttural throat sounds she was just doing.
Context, there's context to the gore. Relax your furrowed brow, for the rape was blessed by the Lord. There is no need for concern, there is no need for a fight. The drug of God's permission will help you sleep. Sleep.
Wow.
Sleep.
Wow.
At night.
Wow.
There's a war next door, she's your reward. Oh, what could you want that's more?
How can something this tragic, this brutally honest, still sound so beautiful? Isn't that crazy? It's this almost this cognitive dichotomy for me, because the lyrics are so painfully true, because they're also relevant. It's crazy to me. It's mind blowing. I almost want to believe this must be trolls. This can't be real people that think this way. But sometimes I see people in the comments, not really on these videos as much, but just in social media in general. You kind of pop into the comment section when you see a certain post or video, and it's hard for me to believe, but I know that it happens, that there are actual human beings that think the things or claim to think the things that they say in comment sections, where you literally, to this day, this is not just an ancient topic. Oh, back in the day, people were horrible and, sacrificed kids to Molech and fought and took each other captive in the name of God. This isn't just an ancient conversation. This is happening in real time. In real time, people want to justify genocide. In real time, people want to justify wars and kids being slaughtered left and right in the name of, it was prophesied 3,000 years ago, or, that's the Holy Land and this belongs to so-and-so, and, they started it. Are we kidding? That's the context. That's what's so crazy about this. And yet the melody, that build up here, the piano, the way that beautiful hook in the chorus, dun, 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 that's a beautiful ballad-like tragedy, but the harmonies here, it's such a I'm torn between how tragic this song is and yet how beautiful it sounds, especially when she keeps coming back to that chorus, that red thread, that whore next door. Oh my gosh, did we hear this? God caters to the ones in control. My gosh, I need a mic drop. I'm not going to throw this one, but wow. God caters to the one in control. How strange, how odd. I'm subscribing. I'm liking this. You guys have got to check this out. I've got goosebumps. I wonder if she's referring to herself. It says the whore next door. Makes me think of more religious references. The whore of Babylon, this symbolic apocalyptic figure from the New Testament, from Revelations, that represents evil, the world seductions, right? The things that in religious circles would be called the whore of Babylon. Maybe here, the people that think that is okay, that justify these verses and say that every single scripture must be God-breathed and is useful for teaching. Sure, maybe it's useful for teaching us to what not to do, but how can we justify things in the name of context? At what point do we say something's not right? Maybe this isn't just God's command. Maybe this is people speaking on God's behalf to use people's desire to worship a God as an excuse for their political, geographical, and religious agenda. But I love the honesty here. And I wonder if she's, more religious lingo, the whore next door, of course, good for songwriting and rhyme scheme. But I wonder if this is also her referring to herself, because she's that rebel. She is what would back in the day would have been deemed the witch, that is speaking up against religion, is speaking up against corruption in organized religion. And before her death, she bit into that apple, right? A nod to Eve in paradise, the forbidden fruit, the knowledge of good and evil, right? The apple, even though scripture doesn't imply that it was an apple, but it often is interpreted as that, this fruit that Eve tried when the serpent seduced her to do so and warned her or told her God said not to, and a servant actually said, nah, it's not, it's not actually a bad thing. And it was from the knowledge of good and evil. And then she knew she was naked. Adam took a bite too. They knew they were naked and hid from God. Many of us know the story of Genesis and paradise before the fall, or the fall of man, as it's often referred to. And so for her to say something about a whore next door who bites in the apple and says, I'm not afraid, maybe that's her. Maybe she's speaking for herself or anyone that would be deemed the whore of Babylon, or the whore next door, for not being afraid, for biting into that apple, for rebelling, if you will, for taking a bite from the forbidden fruit, for being willing to taste and have knowledge of what is good and evil, no matter what scripture, religion, people say in the name of God. Maybe she is that person who says, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to speak up, to call this out, to say there is no excuse for this. There is no amount of context you can give me that would ever justify killing a male little one and anyone that's been with the man, and keeping the virgin daughters for yourself. Show me any context. Unless this is a historical document, unless we say, okay, this is an historical document that just shows what happened, that just shows, how people were being treated in warfare and captivity, then that's a historical document that shows us just how horrendous it was. But then we must look at it as such and talk about how horrendous it is and that we should never do this again. But there's plenty of cases in Scripture and the way that Scripture is interpreted where people have justified that action, where people have justified conquering other people, where people have excused conquering other people, killing innocent people in the name of God. It happened back then. It's still happening today. So I think the dilemma here is that it's not like people all agree, oh, this is what happened back in the day. This is just a historical document. Numbers 31 is just an example of what happened, and this is horrible. No, there's plenty of scriptures where people that claimed themselves to be people of God claimed that God told them that they should destroy other people with no exception, not mix and marry with them, not intermingle with them. There are scriptures in various religions that claim that God said it's okay. There are numerous scriptures from Deuteronomy to 1 Samuel where God allegedly tells the Israelite to drive out various nations, to completely destroy them, to not leave anything that breathes. Deuteronomy 20, 1 Samuel 15, where the prophet Samuel tells Saul to attack the Amalekites and totally destroy all they have. 1 Samuel 15:3. Do not spare them, put to death men, women, children, and infants. And there are plenty of people that will read this and say, yes, I don't understand God's ways. His ways are higher than ours, but every scripture is God-breathed. There are straight up people that will not question this, and they will ignore the lyrics while they sing along to the song, as Sophia says here. So it's not just a matter of, well, it's an historic text that tells us what happened back in the day. If we could all agree of that, that's what happened, and this is just kind of like a record of that, but we all agree this is horrible, that'd be a different story. But it's still happening today, and plenty of people think, well, there was justification for that. Well, God's people would just, I don't understand God's ways. How is there any amount of context that would make that okay? How? And there's people that still think that today. This song is freaking spot on right now. Spot on. And in light of everything that's happening around the world, from Christians being persecuted in Nigeria to children being slaughtered by the masses in Palestine, to people being kidnapped and assaulted in Israel, to people all over the planet suffering, innocent people. You name it. The list goes on and on and on. And before any of you comes up in my comment section, because right now I'm on fire, and wants to say, oh, she had to go political. Go ahead and go on somewhere. If this is not the video for you, it ain't the video for you. I'm not playing about this. I don't even want to hear, oh, you had to go political. Yes, sometimes we freaking do. Sometimes we have to say it's not okay. But if you note, I'm not just calling out one or the other. I'm listing all of it. This ain't a political side. To say it is not okay for kids to die, that is not a political side. You must be out of your mind if anyone thinks that when we speak up against innocent people being killed, men, women, children, infants, in any religion, any context, at any time in history, that is okay in context. You speak up for one people group, oh, you're political, you must be left, you must be right. Have y'all bumped y'all's head? That's powerful too. I think this is a conversation about women being told in the Bible to be silent, to not be pastors, to not teach. Obviously, various denominations, even in Christianity alone, have different views on that. But I think that's what that lyric is about. God made a woman's voice and now tells her to be quiet. I love how the vocals in the background keep tagging, I'm afraid of nothing, as she says all of this. This is epic, guys. Wow. Fuck yes. Hell yes. Wow. I've subscribed. I've liked this video. I wish I could hype it. It won't let me here. You guys, please watch this. Please go support Sofia Isella on YouTube. Go look her up on all the various social media platforms. If this was new to you, if she's new to you, tell her that I sent you. Sean, thank you for this suggestion. I love the brutal honesty here. This is a powerful song and I think an important conversation. It is time that we wake up. It is time that we start asking questions. And two things can be true at the same time. It doesn't mean you have to give up your entire belief. It doesn't mean you have to give up your entire religion. But I think, my coach said this beautifully the other day. He asked me if I was deconstructing, because I was looking for a specific word to explain what I said. And I expressed briefly that that's even hard for me to express, to explain, when things about my faith are changing or questions that I have. And he said, well, I'd argue that that's sign of a healthy faith. And I just appreciate, I already respect the guy so much, but I just appreciated him all the more. Shout out to Coach Tony. Because to me, that just put in words beautifully, that's a healthy faith. If we want to call a God a loving father, a good mother, a good father, which parent would we truly tolerate to not have a relationship with where you can ask questions? And, that does not mean everything that you ever have believed and needs to be come into question. Those kinds of things are hard to work through. It takes a lot of courage. It can be a complete identity crisis. Ask me how I know. But at the same time, I think that's true love, is when you're willing to ask questions, when you're safe enough with someone to say, hey, what you said or did is, I'm having a hard time accepting that or believing this or understanding this. You know, true love is not blind. True love sees all and still loves. True love is willing to ask the hard questions, to doubt. Because if it is true, then it is. You know, then questions are not going to shake that. You know, it's funny how we think every religion wants to claim it's found the absolute truth, and yet we go to war over it. But I thought that if something is true, then we're good. You know what I'm saying? If it's absolute, then what are we flipping out about? But yet you ask questions and it shakes people and you become the whore next door. What a courageous anthem. I'm afraid of nothing. I've got respect for this chick. I want to see more of her. Sofia Isella, yeah, she looks fierce. Something is a shell. Interesting. What an artist. What an artist. I'm always intrigued when people don't put much in their description, and it almost becomes more intriguing. Check her out on Instagram, Sofia_Isella, TikTok, X, Facebook, and her website, Sofia Isella. My goodness. Wow. You guys, thank you for this suggestion. What do you think? How does this make you feel? Especially, I want to know, you know, for a couple of people. I want to know from all of you, of course. I would love to hear from any of you. But I think the biggest two groups that I'm intrigued by right now would be those of you who aren't believers of any religion. What do you think of this? How does this affect you? You know, is this one of those, yes, I've been saying this, or meh, you know, like, what does that do for you? And then those of you who have a strong faith, whatever religion it may be, how does this make you feel? Does this go against? Does this make things you uncomfortable? Is there a way to reconcile your beliefs with the message of this song? Talk to me in the comments. Subscribe here too for more trips around the world to explore music, psychology, philosophy, and more. I see you on the next ride. Ayo!